If you're new to our channel, don't forget to hit the subscribe button. Sponsored by migardener.com, with over 450 varieties of non-GMO, heirloom, organic flowers, vegetables, and herb seeds, all for 99 cents. migardener.com.
So you may not have the opportunity to have a large garden to grow, but containers do very productive work as well. So if you don't have a garden or you want to incorporate containers into your landscape, it's a great opportunity to get a lot of production. Now, there are some things in which you need to be aware of, some container maintenance, let's call it, that one needs to follow. Number one, all of your containers need to have some form of drainage. Now, with the tubs here, we've got holes in the bottom. With the tomatoes, we've got holes about 1.5 inches up, and that allows some water reservoir capabilities, kind of like a miniature self-watering container. Now, with all of these, they're going to be needed to water more frequently than your ground. So whether you have a drip irrigation system, you manually water before or after, or some type of scheduling, they're going to need water about 2 to 3 times more than often than your traditional ground does. Now, what can you grow in a container? You can really grow almost anything you normally would in the ground. The advantages to containers, let's say it's June or it's July and you haven't started a garden, you can certainly go and get some raised bed mix, some potting mix, some compost, and put them in containers, and you can get a fall garden started. So that's a small investment to get rewarded here later on in the season. We've got tomatoes, we've got peppers, we've got carrots, we've got beans, we've even got zucchini, and we have ground cherries. We've got cucumbers. Now, not everything in containers are going to do magnificent for you. There are times and you're going to have failure. That's just part of this, the way this works. We do have a raspberry plant here we put in a container. Over here we have some garden fails. So our garden fails are this. We had some problems with the leaf lettuce. We had leaf miners in it. We had problems with the beets. We had leaf miners in the beets. And what a leaf miner will do, it will basically eat between the layers of the leaves, and then you'll have die-off here. And it kills the plant essentially because it can't photosynthesize with the sun because there's no, the goodie is ate out of the leaves. Now, some success stories here. We do have some bush beans. We did have spinach there that bolted, that didn't do well. Here's some here, bolting when it goes to seed because of the day duration and in part heat. We put bush beans in here and they are beginning to bud, so that works very well. And we've got some other things. We're going to remove the lettuce and plant Swiss chard in its spot, because Swiss chard will grow all the way up to the first frost, and even a light frost, they will sustain life for a little longer. So whether you're doing a large patio, porch, or deck, or just a few containers, container gardening, you need to go ahead and water more frequently and be very vigilant. One other thing here on the tomatoes, just like we talk about in the ground, we want to keep the lower 6 to 8 inches trimmed, because you can put mulch on in your containers, or you can just leave them bare like this. The soil will still splash up and still cause early blight, so you want to keep that in mind. What can you use as mulch in your containers? Well, we've used a number of different mulches, from chemical-free to seed-free, chemical-free, seed-free grass clippings. If you have shredded leaves, you can also use pine needles. That works good. The acidity that the pine needle was on the tree does not affect the soil because of the slow breakdown process it takes to compost this. The only disadvantage we have found with using pine needles on the traditional ground is they seem to attract slugs awful bad. But in containers, I don't think there's going to be that potential problem. You can also use straw, or if you're close to the beach, you can get sand and put a couple of an inch of sand around the top, because what happens when you go to the beach and you scrape the sand back? The sand is very, very moist. We've done that and it's worked quite well. The disadvantage is at the end of the season you want to scrape off that sand so you can you don't incorporate it into the compost, the potting mix, or the raised bed mix that you got. So just some container maintenance tips that will help your containers thrive for the rest of the season.
For more information, please visit thewisconsinvegetablegardener.com.